Good day everyone, my name is Amarachi and you're welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be learning how to cut a baggy short with elastic waistband and side pocket. Please stay tuned. On my table I have my fabric folded into two. This is what we are going to be using to cut out the front part of our short. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to be measuring the length of the fabric. The fabric I have on my table measures 18 inches. Okay, actually 19 inches, but I'm going to be using 18 inches for the length of my shirt. Then to get the width that you're going to be using, please do well to divide your hip circumference divided by 4. Then whatever you get, you add additional 5 inches. You can add up to 6 inches depending on how big you want your short pants to be. Then from the top, I'm coming down by half an inch all through the fabric. This half an inch is what we are going to be using to join our short to our elastic band, because this is not a cut together. The band is not cut together, it's cut separately. And since we are drafting on our fabric directly, we are leaving half an inch for allowance for joining our short to our elastic. Please, I just hope you understand. Then I'll mark that half an inch all the way to the end of the fabric, and this line we have here will now serve as our waistline. So we now have our waistline. So the next thing I'm going to do, from the waistline I'm going to be minusing 2 inches. That 2 inch will serve as my band. My band measures 2 inches. Then I'm marking my hip line measurement. My hip line measurement is 8 inches. So minusing 2 inches, I'm going to mark 8 inches all the way down. Then also minusing 2 inches, I'm going to mark my crotch measurement. My crotch measurement is my hip divided by 4, which is 10. Then additional 2 inches. So that is what I'm doing here. I'm adding additional 2 inches. So I'm going to be marking this all the way to the end of my fabric. And please, if this is the first time you're seeing my video, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Amarachi, like I said at the beginning of the video, and this channel is Stitches by Amara. In this channel I'll be sharing sewing tutorials, pattern drafting, and one thing of importance is that I'm going to make sure that everything I'm posting here will be beginner friendly. So please follow me, hit the subscribe button, like my video, comment and share. And also, this is a new channel, so whatever you just feel like you would like to contribute in helping me grow my channel, I would really appreciate and I will welcome your advice. Please do well to drop it in the comment section. Thanks. So the next thing I'm going to do, from the waistline, I'm minusing that 2 inches and I'm coming down by the length of my short, and I want my short to be 18 inches. So I'll be marking this 18 inches all through the end of my fabric. Then after doing that, from that 18 inches, I'm going to be coming down by 1.5 inches. That 1.5 inches will serve as the allowance I will use in folding the down part of my shirt. I'm so sorry, I didn't realize that my camera actually cut off this part. Please bear with me, but later on I moved it up and you would actually see what I did there. So thank you and stay tuned. Please don't get tired of watching. So I'm cutting out the remaining fabric so that I'll be left with just the fabric that I'll be working on, because my cutting table is a very small cutting table, so I'm trying to like have just the fabric I'll be needing on my table, so it will be very easy for me. Thank you. So we are done drawing all our vertical measurements. We have our waist, we have our hip, we have our crotch, and we have the length of the trouser. So the next thing, I'm going to be imputing my hip circumference divided by 4. So whatever I get there, I will add 2 inches. So that 2 inches, half inches will be for joining the crotch and the sides. Then the remaining inches left will be for the freeness of my shirt. That is how free I want it. But like I said, if you want it more free, you can go ahead to add more inches. It just depends on what you want. So I'll be connecting the lines all through to the crotch line. I connected from the waist to the hip and to the crotch line. So I have my waist, my hip, and my crotch. So I'm just taking time to explain this because this video is very beginner friendly, so I don't want anybody to get confused at any part. So the next thing, I'm going to be dividing my crotch extension, my hip divided by 4. Whatever I get, I also divide it by 4. So the final answer is what I'll be imputing. I have 2.375. Another way you can get this, you can just divide your hip circumference divided by 16. So this is just like the simplified form. You still get the same thing. Instead of you dividing by 4 and also dividing by 4, just go ahead and divide by 16. It's still the same thing. So I got 2.375 and I've marked it there. So from the crotch line, I'm going up by 2 inches. This will enable me get a very smooth curve. Since I'm not using a pattern master, so this will enable me get a curve that is not pointy. So I've gone ahead to do that. The next thing I'm going to do, under my crotch line, I will measure what I have there, and I have 14.5 inches. So I'll come to the end of my shirt and I'm just going to minus 1 inches from what I have. Then I'll impute it. So that is why I'm doing 13.5 inches. But you can also go ahead and leave it at 14.5 inches if you don't mind your pants being straight. But me, I want it to be a little slanted. That is why I minus that 1 inches. So we are done drafting for the front. We have the waist, the hip, the crotch, and the length of our short. Then we have the allowance for hemming our short. So hope this is quite simple to understand. So we are just going to cut off the other part that is not needed. If you have watched this video to this point, it means that you're actually enjoying it. Please do not forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, as this will be helpful in helping us reach other people. Thank you very much. So we have another piece of fabric placed on my cutting table, and this is going to be serving as the back part, and also this fabric is on fold. So I've gone ahead to place my front piece on top of the fabric. Notice that the down part, I made it to align with the fabric. Then also the sides also are also aligning. So the extra part we have is at the top of the short and also at the crotch part. So at the top I have like 2 inches extra fabric, and on the sides I have 3 inches extra fabric. So this will help us to add allowances because the back part of the short is usually bigger than the front part of the short. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be extending my back crouch by 2.5 inches. To do that, I'll first of all mark my crouch extension to make sure that I'm doing it exactly on my crouch extension. So I'm imputing 2.5 inches there. So this serves as my back pouch extension. Then on the hip line, I'm coming out by 2 inches, and on the waistline I'll also come out by 2 inches. Then the 2 inches on the waistline, I will take it all the way to the end of the fabric at the back. Then I'll connect to make my crouch curve, and I'll ensure that my curve is not slanted, is also smooth, just like the front part. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, on the waistline, I'm coming up by 1.5 inches for the back part. This will enable our back butt to sit in perfectly, because if you don't do it, you notice that after making your shot, the back part, you have your bum a bit exposed. So that is why we usually come out by 1.5 inches to enable our bum to cover up completely. You can also do 2 inches if you have a bigger bum, but for me 1.5 works perfectly. Then at the down part, I'm also coming out by 2 inches. Please note that on the crotch line I came out by 2.5, on the hip I came out by 2, on the waist by 2, then on the down part I came out by 2 inches. So do not get confused. And also, I'm sorry that my camera also cut out the down part, but you would also see what I did at the end later on. So this is what I have. 2 inches at the down part, do not get confused. So as you can see, 2 inches. So basically we are done drafting for the back part. The next thing we are going to be doing, we are going to be cutting out the excess that is not needed. So we'll just cut them off. And please, another thing of importance I want to say is that as a beginner, please do not be in a hurry to cut out your fabric. After drafting, you might be like, I've gotten it, but please be sure to cross-check your measurements, cross-check to make sure that you are actually on the right part, that all the measurements are accurate, because once you have cut off your fabric, it will be very, very difficult to make any adjustments. So that is why most people prefer drafting on the pattern paper first before transferring on your fabric. But if you do not have a pattern paper, just ensure to ensure that your measurements are accurate, that it is not smaller at any part, so that you do not regret later. Thank you. So I'm going ahead to separate the sides. Remember that I mentioned that the fabrics, both the front and back, are on fold. If you're not attaching a pocket, you can go ahead and leave it like this, but since we are attaching pocket, we need to separate it so that we can attach our pocket. So I'm going ahead to separate the fabric so that I'll have it 2 pieces for the front and 2 pieces for the back. So we are done. Basically, the next thing is to take this to our sewing machine, sew by 1/2 inch on the crouch part, both for the front and the back. So please follow the curve while sewing. And also, the next thing we are going to be doing on the sides, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch. This 1 inch I'm going to be attaching my pocket after that 1 inch mark. So do not attach your pocket at the beginning of your fabric. Leave 1 inches. So this is the fabric I'll be using for my pocket. I've gone ahead to cut it off camera. The length of my pocket measures 8.5 inches, while the width measures 7 inches. So how I cut this pocket, basically I just placed my palm and just measured 7.5 and drew a curve, a slight curve, like a C curve, and use it to cut out the pocket. and I did cut 4 pieces of this pocket. So each one of those pockets, remember we have 2 pieces for the front and 2 pieces for the back, so each one of those pockets is going to each of the piece for this our short. So I'll go ahead and sew and come back. So we are done sewing. Basically we've joined the crouch and we've attached the pocket. Like you can see, this is the front and this is the back. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be taking one side of the front, one side of the back, right side facing each other, and I will take this to my sewing machine, and I'm stitching also by 1/2 inch. Notice how I will curve it from the top. I will turn my sewing machine to follow the curve of my pocket. So when I get to the end of my pocket, I will then straighten my needle and then sew to the end of the trouser of my shirt. I'm doing this for both sides of the short. So I'm done sewing the sides, the 2 sides of the short. Then also I went ahead and joined the crouch part of this short. As you can see, I also stitched by 1/2 inch. The next thing we're going to be doing is attaching the band, and I've gone ahead to cut out piece for the band off camera. And this band, the length of this band measures 3 inches, and it is on fold, meaning when you open it up you have 6 inch in total. But please do not forget I said that my band is 2 inches. But why I later cut 3 inches is because when I went to get an elastic, I noticed that my elastic is a little bit above 2 inches. So I'm using 2.5 inches for the elastic, then the 1/2 inches will be for joining my band to the short. So to know the length of the band, just measure round your short, then add 1 inches and use it to cut a straight fabric. Then the 1 inches you have, you use 1/2 inches on both ends to join the band together. So you can see my elastic measures almost 2.5 inches, so that is why I did 3 inches for the band. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to take my band to the sewing machine and attach it to the waist of my shirt. I'll do this all round on a straight line using 1/2 inch. Then I'll leave a little space from which I'll pass my elastic. I'll do this, then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like after attaching the band and the elastic. So this is the space I left for passing my elastic. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be closing up that space that I have left. Then after closing up the space, I'm going to be dragging my fabric and my elastic together, then stitching on the elastic. The first stitch will be 1/2 inch from the top, then the second stitch will be at the middle of the band. So after doing this, I will go ahead and fold the leg of my shirt, fold it 2 times, and making sure that the 1.5 inches I use will be what I have left for the length will be what I use in folding. Then after that, if you have a weaving machine, that is an overlock machine, go ahead and overlock the sides to ensure that the inside of your work is neat and not looking messy. After doing that, then you're basically done with your shirt. So you can see the shirts on the mannequin. We have the shirts looking all nice and looking beautiful. You can see the stitches I did on the band, the first and the second stitch. You can see the pocket, and this shirt actually came out very nice. I loved how it turned out. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, as we'll be dropping more simplified ways of sewing different clothes. Thank you. God bless you, and stay tuned. Remain blessed.